here's something cool. You get both a Hellraiser review and a Halloween review in 1 week around the holidays, so here we go. Hi, this is Jason, and this is my review for Halloween Ends, directed by David Gordon Green, the director of Pineapple Express, The Sitter, Your Highness, and the 2 newer Halloween films. Before I talk about the plot for this film, which is very interesting, and my thoughts on the film in general, let me tell you my brief history on the Halloween films. Not all of them, I haven't seen all of the films. The ones I've seen so far are the original Halloween, Halloween 2 from 1981, Halloween H2O, the Halloween film from 2018, and Halloween Kills, and so far, this film. I do enjoy the original Halloween film. I think it's a really fun film to watch around, well, Halloween time. However, my brother does love it more than me because he's watched the film multiple times and watched a lot more Halloween films after that and listened to the soundtrack a few times, so I do get the love that people have for the film. It has really good cinematography, good kills, a terrifying villain with a William Shatner mask, and of course, that theme song is very iconic. Halloween 2 is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Same goes to Halloween H2O. I also think that one's fine, and in my opinion, it had a pretty good end to the Halloween story, even though the 2018 film did erase that film's timeline as well as the other Halloween films that came out except the original film. Speaking of the 2018 film, I think that one is meh. It's not that great in my opinion. It could have been better, and the same goes to Halloween Kills. I think that one also could have been better. It has some good kills. Jamie Lee Curtis is still awesome as Laurie Strode in those films, but they also had very unnecessary characters that don't serve a purpose to the plot, and they had some unnecessary humor that just ruins the tension of those films. And since they did market this to be the final film in the Halloween franchise, which I highly doubt that that's the case, I am willing to give this movie a try. So let me briefly tell you what this movie's about just from watching the trailers, because this movie has a completely different plot, which I'll get into more of that in a minute. So Michael Myers is still killing people around Halloween time, and Laurie Strode has to be the one to finish off Michael Myers once and for all. Yeah, that's not really what this movie's about. I mean, it's in there, but it's barely mentioned, and it's a completely different story, which I'm gonna explain more about it right now. And what I'm about to say is not a spoiler, it's not a big twist, it happens in the first act of the film. So if you don't want to hear what this movie's really about, I am gonna say what happens in the first act and show what the real plot of the movie really is. So this is your warning just in case you don't want to know yet. Since this movie takes place 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills, with Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and her granddaughter Allison, played by Andi decide to move into a new town just to put the past behind them. What this movie's actually about is a young man named Corey, played by Rohan Campbell, who's been going through 3 years in his life going through hatred in his town because 3 years around Halloween time, he accidentally killed a little boy that he was babysitting, and he's been trying to get away from all of that. Then he starts dating Allison because both of them have similar issues with each other, even though one of them has even worse issues than the other, which of course gets Laurie suspicious about him. So after he gets picked on by a bunch of bullies, Michael Myers runs into him, but he doesn't kill him right away. Instead, Myers lets Corey live because he thinks Corey can be just as evil as he is. Yeah, that's the real plot of the film. That is the real story for Halloween Ends that they didn't market for. Now, I wasn't excited for this film, but I was hoping it would be at least a satisfying conclusion to the Halloween story, but unfortunately, it's not. It's not a very good film, and I know a lot of Halloween fans are already disappointed with it now that the movie's already been out for a few weeks. Before I talk about my issues with the film, let me talk about the stuff that I liked first. Jamie Lee Curtis is still awesome as Laurie Strode. She's giving it her all, she gives the emotion and sympathy to her character, and she's easily one of the best parts of this movie. When Michael Myers comes on screen killing people, it's still pretty terrifying to see whenever he's on screen, even though I do have one issue with Michael Myers in this film, and I'll get to that later. Andi Matichak, I'm sorry if I got that name wrong, is still good as Allison, and her scenes with Jamie Lee Curtis throughout the film are very sweet and touching. In fact, everyone else in the acting looked like they were really trying with this one. Now, I will say this, it does have some good ideas, showing how someone could go down in a dark path just like Michael Myers did, proving that maybe Michael Myers is not the only one in these films that can be that evil. Like, it can show that some characters could create some conflict with themselves and the people they care about if they become as bad as Myers. But my problem with that is the execution, which leads me to my negatives. The story here doesn't feel like a Halloween film at all, despite the fact that Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are in it. There's no tension in the certain deaths either. It's just a stereotypical slasher film, which is so bland for the final film in the Halloween saga. The kill count also throughout this film is very low. Like, there really aren't that many deaths that happen until the third act, which the third act does have some pretty cool deaths, but before that, everything else just doesn't feel like it's happening at all, which is very strange for a Halloween film. Michael Myers is barely in this movie. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, which kind of takes away the fear and suspense throughout the story. And sure, Michael Myers didn't have a lot of screen time in the original film either, but that film still built up the tension and suspense throughout the story, getting you to worry about what's going to happen to Laurie and her friends in that film. This movie really doesn't build to anything terrifying for what Michael Myers does. It just focuses more on Corey and his problems that he's been dealing with for 3 years, and it's not interesting at all. It's just a typical, I want to kill people I hate type of story. Halloween Ends may not be a terrible film with some good acting, some good kills, and Michael Myers is still pretty terrifying and some good ideas, but it doesn't really save it from a very basic slasher story that doesn't feel like a Halloween film at all, barely any kills, and an ending that's very underwhelming. Now, if you like the newer Halloween films and don't mind the new direction this film goes with, then maybe you might enjoy it, since this trilogy is basically for a newer generation that don't really give a crap about the original Halloween film. But if you do love the original Halloween film and hated the newer films, then you're probably gonna hate this film even more because of the story. And to be honest, I think Halloween H2O had a much better ending to the Halloween story than this film. I'm gonna give Halloween Ends a C-. So this is the last one, huh? I really don't believe that's true. Maybe it's the last one for Laurie Strode, but I still feel like in maybe 10 or 20 years they're gonna reboot the franchise again for another new generation. And that's really why I don't see this franchise ending anytime soon. So guys, if you have seen Halloween Ends, what did you think about it? Did you think it was a satisfying conclusion, or were you just as disappointed as I was? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and hope you're having a happy Halloween this year. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.